Hello and welcome to our first live stream of 2024. I'm Sam and I'm in the studio today with Esther and Jess. We're going to be discussing all things life at Keele, getting to know what it's really like to sort of live and study on our campus. Whether you're going to be joining us in 2024 and you've already got your offer, or you're thinking about applying and joining us in 2025, we'll be here for about the next hour or so. We're going to be talking about all of our favourite things about Keele, any top tips we might have, and to answer your questions. So if you've got a question, you can pop it into the chat and we'll get through as many as we can. So to start with, if you want to introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about yourselves, who you are and what you're studying here at Keele.
Of course, so hi, my name's Esther and I'm in my final year of studying a combined honours neuroscience and psychology course.
And hi, I'm Jess and I'm currently in my second year and I'm studying psychology single honours.
Why did you both choose to study here?
Of course, so like I mentioned, I do a combined honours neuroscience and psychology, and that's something that Keele does really well, and one of the only kind of universities in the country that I found that did the combined honours that I really wanted to do, so it's a really nice balance of my favourite bits of psychology enriched with neuroscience.
I mean, for me initially, the course itself did really draw me to Keele, but after coming to Keele on an open day, I just loved the atmosphere of the campus. It was really lovely. I just felt such a sense of connectivity to sort of the student life. It's like being surrounded by such a lovely nature and sort of picturesque scenery. For me, like my environment really impacts how I feel. So just coming onto campus, I felt that I would feel very comfortable and safe here, and it was definitely delivered.
Brilliant. And obviously, Esther, you're in your third year, Jess, you're in your second year. How have you found your time at Keele so far?
Well, I found it absolutely amazing. I think one of the things about Keele is definitely the community and the amount that's going on campus. So we have a really lively students' union that you can get involved with in so many different ways. And that's something that I've done loads of. And so I've really enjoyed that, just meeting so many lovely people. And I've really enjoyed my course as well. So yeah, amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you can never get bored.
No, absolutely.
There's always something to do.
Yeah.
There's plenty of like activities and events throughout the year. And it's very much like the community, we really value that, especially when it comes to like, you know, culture and stuff.
Yeah.
That's a massive thing that we do. And then it's just bringing people together that I've absolutely loved. And it's,
absolutely
everything I've imagined and more. So it's, really loved it.
Something for absolutely everybody.
Definitely, 100%.
So we've had a couple of questions in the chat already, I can see here, and it kind of feeds in a little bit to what you've just been discussing about kind of community and kind of, you know, meeting people. Someone asking, are there many international students at Keele? You know, and what's the sort of student population like?
Yeah, of course. So there are, you know, quite a large amount of international students on campus, and there is a load of stuff for international students to get involved in. So the Students' Union, again, is absolutely amazing, and there's loads and loads of different societies that you can get involved with. I think that's a really crucial part of like getting to know people, is getting involved and stuck in like a hobby that you like, or kind of your course.
There'll definitely be something for you, like think of a society or a club, and Keele has it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean, with the international side of things, I feel like, you know, there's so many societies that are international. Well, I'm originally from Spain. There's the Hispanic Society, which is really great because it's just getting together with people from either whether it's back home or just there's an interest that you'll all share that is similar, and it's great. So
of course,
so, if anything, I think there's probably more international students than home students, really, from what I've seen. So it's definitely definitely international wide,
and loads of societies from people from all, you know, kind of cultural backgrounds as well. That's another really important thing.
Well, okay. We've got a couple of other questions. Again, you've kind of sort of started to touch on this in terms of, you know, Students' Union, events, activities. So someone's asking what sort of events happen at the Students' Union. I mean, I know there's loads, it's really varied. There is kind of something for everybody, but I mean, what are some of your sort of favourite things perhaps that happen in the Students' Union, some highlights for you?
Yeah, so of course, well, not of course, but every Wednesday there is the AU night. So that's when clubs from the university, so we have a really active AU as well, Athletics Union at Keele. And so this is where loads of those students go in their clubs, dress up in a theme, and then go out on a night out. That's a really lively night at the SU, I would say. And then we have a Friday a Friday night event every week. So these happen every week, as well as, you know, special events and kind of guest music artists as well, which is really amazing. We have Jake Bugg coming very soon. That's another, so loads and loads of different, loads of different stuff.
Yeah, I mean, also like throughout the day as well, not just like nightlife. The students, they sort of collaborate with outsider, what's the word? Organisations, I guess is the right word. But say like there's, what is it, thrift something?
Yeah, so there's the thrift sale that comes on campus.
They come on campus like every other week, I feel like. Yeah, it's like, you know, they clear out the sort of actual stagey area and there's just like a bunch of thrift things. And it's really great to sort of, I don't know, there's obviously the nightlife with, you know, there is some of the, you know, classic like drinking culture and whatnot, but there's also plenty that is not. And there's, what other stuff is there? I'm trying to think now. There's just so much that I can't list them all. But
so many events that go on during the day. So the SU, as I just said, is you know, amazingly lively. There is something going on every single day.
Yeah.
You will not be at a loss to find something going on. And there are loads and loads of sober events, as well as so the KPA run a lot of events for postgraduate students as well. So it's not just the students' union.
there's also some great food offers that are happening every single day.
Yep.
I think I was like, oh, that's 10% off. Why not?
Yeah. Quality food deals as well. Yeah, no, absolutely.
I've definitely seen it in our internal comms. Lifesize Monopoly.
This,
In the SU today.
Yeah, Keele. I was like, what's this?
Yeah, so I think it's something to do with kind of student budgeting and stuff like that, getting students to know a bit more about how to budget and stuff like
That's
that.
another thing. There's a lot of like student budgeting. There's like alcohol awareness. There's plenty of sort of like awareness-based events, which is really great because it does get people together.
Yeah.
And also just, again, obviously spreading awareness, but it's like just your knowledge on whether, you know, it all just, even like just living as a student and just actually surviving and getting through uni. There's plenty of support and tailored events for actually, you know, succeeding at Keele, not just academically, but on a personal level.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, living's just...
As a student,
it's tough, but it's good.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And the Res Life team put on events. So if you live in halls, the Res Life team put on events for halls specifically. So when I lived in halls in first year, they did a board games night, which me and my flatmates would always go to consistently. And it's a really nice way to meet people from your flat. It's not just board games, it's a whole host of other things. But these are all kind of sober events as well, which is really nice.
I guess for you know, in terms of Res Life, that's our Residence Life programme, and that's to support students who live on campus in our on-campus accommodation. We get quite a lot of our, you know, a lot of first-year students will live on campus, and we've got a few questions I'm seeing in the chat here about accommodation. So we're just going to have a quick kind of scan through in terms of there's something about catering. Do we do catered accommodation or students cooking for themselves? So I can answer that one. All of our accommodation is self-catered, but there are some great places on campus where you can get food as well, like the Students' Union, Central and Chancellors, and like other eateries, basically the Co-op, the Greggs, that kind of stuff on campus as well. In terms of another accommodation question around when you are in your accommodation for, there's a week in the year where it's not available. How do students deal with that? Typically, contracts for accommodation are running kind of in terms of, you know, the semester time. And we've got our next, one of our next live streams is dedicated to accommodation. So we'll be chatting kind of all the detail of our accommodation options, contract lengths, all that kind of stuff, what we've got in terms of our on-campus offering. And that's going to be happening in a few weeks. So maybe check out that particular stream for that. We'll try and answer some more of these accommodation questions if we can. Just seeing another one here about accommodation. Oh, let me scroll back through. Yeah, touching on the residence life and like the support and the social side, I suppose, of the accommodation. Do you want to talk a little bit more, Esther, about like the residence life teams, I guess, and suppose what they kind of do in halls and how they support you as a student?
Yeah, absolutely. So all halls have resident advisors. So they are students who do that as it's kind of a job for them. So they come along and they check on all of the flats to make sure everybody's okay. Right at the start of the year, you will work with your resident advisor to make a flatmate agreement. So with your flatmates about what kind of what you value living with other people. So if it's making sure that the sides are always clean, so you're washing up your dishes and putting them away straight away, if that's something you really value, you can chat about that. Yeah, a whole host of things that they can help you with, and they're always, so they're on call in the evenings if you need help as well in your residency. So yeah, and you can always call upon the actual Res Life team if you need any support with, you know, flatmate disagreements and things like that, because they're, you know, bound to happen with people you've not lived in before. But I've never personally had any issues, but I knew that the resident advisors were always there if I needed to call them up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're just there to make sure that you're transition into university, especially you're like living with complete strangers, is so scary. So it's just making that just the most comfortable as it can be, and it's just knowing that they are on call at all times definitely eased my anxiety.
Absolutely.
And like that flatmate agreement at the start of the year, obviously it forces the whole flat to get together and set those boundaries to make sure that, you know, we'll be civil, you know, and then obviously we'll build that nice sort of family feel of the flat and stuff. So it's kind of they kind of almost like the scaffolding in terms of making sure that your stay is kind of the best it can be.
Absolutely. I've got a really nice anecdote about that. So one of my, to our flatmate agreement meeting, she bought brownies and then we all immediately were her friend.
You can't say it's the brownies.
Can't say it's brownies. But yeah, no, amazing group of supporters there. Absolutely.
Yeah, another question kind of related to accommodation, but I guess a bit about the campus as well in terms of like the location and the distance to things. Obviously from an accommodation point of view, our on-campus accommodation, everything's quite sort of close by. You're probably like 10 minutes max, I suppose, for many of our accommodation blocks to get into the centre of campus. But we've got a question as well about, you know, how far are we from like a main city centre, grocery shops and lively areas? Did you want to perhaps talk about where we are in terms of our like proximity to maybe like Newcastle, but then, you know, a bit further afield? Do you want to go to like Manchester, Birmingham, that sort of thing?
Yeah, of course. So we're really not very far from Newcastle Underline. The buses come around the campus, you know, every 10 minutes or something.
15 minutes.
Yes, really consistent into Newcastle. So this bus, the bus 25, goes into Newcastle, goes to Stoke Station, and it also goes into Hanley. So that is what you'd call probably the biggest city centre nearby. Loads of stuff going on there.
I mean, in Newcastle Underline, everything's there. It's everything you need. There's Morrison's, Aldi. There's also plenty of like, again, sort of like social events that you can go to. There's a cinema, there's some golf, there's bowling. So there's plenty to, everything's pretty much 15 minutes away. There's everything that you need really.
Exactly.
So it's,
plenty of bars and you know, there's a Wetherspoons as well, if that's your thing.
Yeah, that's always fun.
Plenty of opportunities. And then Hanley is probably where you would go if you wanted a night out that wasn't the SU.
Yeah, more of a nightlife feel and stuff. But
a lot of that kind of thing. But yeah, Hanley is where you go if you wanted to have like a shopping day out as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, big kind of shopping centre in the Potteries, as well as Festival Park, which has a lot of kind of that same thing, bowling, cinema, all that kind of jazz as well.
Yeah, that's kind of Newcastle's like all your basic needs. I mean, you could just pretty much get by fine if you just went to Newcastle.
I barely left Newcastle in my first year.
Yeah, no, I didn't go any further. But obviously, it's easy to go further afield for more like bigger shops and stuff like that.
Same thing with, it's not very far away from Manchester or Birmingham, so we're kind of equidistant from Manchester and Birmingham. Does not take very long on D train. You know, you can go every other weekend. Just hop on the train, head to Manchester.
45 minutes.
Max. Yeah, definitely.
So, not far.
Not very long at all.
Yeah. I mean, are you seeing these questions as they're coming in also? Because like, literally questions about train travel and public transport, and I think you've answered that really well. There's really good bus connections, and then Stoke-on-Trent is our kind of local train station where you've got obviously connections to other parts of the country.
Really easy to just navigate and get about. There's no sort of
absolutely.
All the signs are there just to just read them and then like you're sorted.
Exactly. And I'm not
really
from locally
clear.
at all. I'm from Wales, and I still find it quite easy to get home.
Yeah, I'm very much not local. I'm from Spain, so it's, and I found it easy. It's all good.
Yeah, very.
We've got a quite a specific question about being connected to Harper Adams University. I'm assuming that might be to do with our veterinary medicine course. So yeah, there is obviously Harper Adams in Keele Vet School, Harper Keele Vet School, and if you are going to do vet med, then you would be looking at picking kind of a home campus, but you will spend time on both campuses if you're doing that course in particular. So that one. Then we've got some questions. There's a couple of people asking about kind of part-time jobs and working on campus or getting a job as a student. So you got, what would you say about those things?
Yeah, so definitely, well, anecdotally, I am a student ambassador, so that means helping out at open days, doing stuff like this, doing content for the university as well. So that's a big part of, that's a part-time job that you can apply for in your first, second, third year. Yeah, and it just, that's something that really fits well around your studies. There are contracts so you can pick up shifts when you can, because it's, balancing work and student life is a massive thing, and it's something that a lot of students really struggle with.
But I mean, I know you can also get a job at like Central Cafe and help out in the kitchens and stuff. So it's on campus, so it's great. You can just go and do a little quick shift in the kitchens and then go back to your accommodation. And so there's plenty of definitely opportunities to get stuck in on jobs, and there's constantly emails coming through in my inbox saying like, here's some volunteering things, here's some like part-time jobs that you might be interested in. So it's clear that also Keele do acknowledge that it is tricky to navigate having a good balance of earning as well as studying, but it's like making sure that it is easy to get that balance of there is plenty of opportunities for you to actually get a job on campus, and it's
and you mentioned that like the careers team, the careers and employability team will be kind of sending out opportunities. So they've got some good relationships with local employers. So as things come through, they're kind of passing them on, and there's almost like the jobs bulletin board of what's available and things. So if you wanted to work on campus, there are options, but then there are things obviously in the local area that get advertised with our careers team as well.
And linking back to the events on campus, there's a lot of careers events that happen as well that are brilliant. So really there's always stuff going on again, as we said.
Yeah, it won't be hard to find a part-time job, basically. There's plenty around, plenty of places hiring. Just got to keep your eye open.
Yeah. So we've got a few questions here around like accommodation in terms of how do you choose flatmates, and then how do you find places to live kind of in your second and third year. Obviously in your first year when you're going into your on-campus accommodation, you're kind of placed with people who choosing the same type of accommodation as you. Occasionally with some courses you might be grouped with people who are on a similar course to you. If, for example, like if you're doing something like nursing or medicine where you're going to be in it's got more heavy in placements, but quite often it's just a mix, I guess. So how did you find, in terms of who you were living with in your first years, and then what did you do in your second and obviously after your third year, and how did you find people to live with?
Of course, so in my first year it was certainly a mix. So we had somebody doing medicine, a couple of forensic scientists, and then me, neuroscience and psychology. So definitely a mix. We all got on really, really well, which was really, really lovely. But of course we didn't choose to live together. It just so happened that we all got on really well. And so in my second year, I chose to live with, a few of these people, and then some other friends that I'd made, in my course and kind of through society, stuff like that as well. And so I've lived there last year and this year as well. So in the same place with the same people. Yeah,
I mean, when I was filling in the accommodation application my first year, there was a few questions which were like just to get to know your interests. So they do take that into account in terms of what you're studying, what your like common interests are, so that you're not just like thrown in with like a bunch of just random people. So there's almost like they try to, obviously it's hard to get people that are of the same, have the same interests as you, but keeping that into account was really, really good. And like, I had a great mix of people, someone that was also doing psychology with combined honours, there was a paramedic in my flat, someone doing forensics, so real good mix, which is quite nice to have people with different courses, because you get to kind of like chat about different things, but also having that sort of like common ground as well. But no, in my second year now, I'm off campus in my own sort of solo studio apartment, which just works well for me. It's just in Newcastle, so it's a perfect location, and again the buses are really easy to get to campus as well, so I wouldn't really worry about not being on campus in the second or third years. Although, is it still the first and third years are sort of given priority in terms of having a spot on campus? But
so for new undergraduate students, if you apply, make Keele firm choice and apply by the deadline, then you're guaranteed on-campus accommodation.
That's the one,
and we'll cover that when we do our accommodation webinar in a few weeks' time. And then, yeah, it is opened up to returning students each year, but it's just a small number of rooms that are typically made available for returning students. And like you say, quite a lot of our second and third year students will live in the local area. And we have got a question here about how easy is it to find somewhere to rent and you know, reasonably priced. I would say, yeah. Like it is reasonably priced.
One
yes,
thing to
there's plenty of it out
also
there.
say is that Keele, again, linking back to events and activities that do take place on campus, is it the housing fair that they do every year? So it's like making you aware of these are alternative options that you can do in your second and third year in terms of where you're living, but it's all relatively close and it's pretty much, you know, similar in price really, it's pretty reasonable in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I live in a 7-bed house basically, and with all ensuite bathrooms, which is a very reasonably priced kind of accommodation. So yeah, you won't really out of pocket if you're living off campus as well. That's something to note.
Brill. So a question about if you have like a friend come to visit you, can they take part in events at the SU, that kind of thing? And like, as far as I know, obviously there are some events that will be particularly, you know, sort of like welcome week events, maybe a little bit more restricted, but after that tends to be you know, open. You can bring a friend.
Oh yeah. So if you buy a ticket, you could buy a guest ticket as well along with that. So you can say that you're bringing a guest along. Yeah, the same kind of thing. You can just so that applies to all the Wednesday nights and Friday nights and all of the other kind of events. And obviously the bigger gigs and stuff when we have music artists come in, those are open to the public as well. So everybody can come along. But that applies to pretty much most of the events.
Brilliant. Question here, a couple of questions together actually, about sports on campus. What are the gyms like and what sort of sports like on campus?
Yeah, amazing. So I said a little bit earlier, but we've got a really active athletics union. So loads and loads of different sports societies with loads and loads of different kinds of sports. So, you know, anything from ultimate frisbee to mountaineering, which is something that I did in my first and second year, to boating. Yeah, loads.
Snow sports, is that a
Snow
thing?
sports, yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, that's a thing.
Wow, yeah. Yeah, basically anything that you've been doing maybe at college or high school or anything like that, you'll find it at Keele. And if it doesn't exist already, then you can always make a sports society. That's something I always like to say. But
yeah, I think you know, one of the things that I've found from kind of, you know, over the years speaking to students is the people who run the committees, particularly like the sports, you know, clubs and societies. But it's an opportunity to kind of develop some of those skills and like leadership skills potentially, you know, when you're like the president of like a particular club or society, you know, and I think Esther, you run a society at the moment.
So this year I am the president of Psychology Society, which is really amazing. So we were only established again last year because the other committee had dissolved, but we're back now and we run weekly events. And we're running a summer ball. So we ran a winter ball, we're running a summer ball. We do loads of stuff kind of trying to engage students that study psychology and other social sciences and stuff like that. So yeah, and I've learned a lot of really valuable skills. I've met some really amazing people, gotten involved in a lot of kind of things to do with what I want to do in my career in general. So that's been really nice. Yeah, amazing opportunity, I say, yeah.
And I guess, you know, from the, you know, sports facilities point of view, you know, we've obviously got the sports centre, there's the gym in there, there are the sports halls that people use for, I don't know, people go and play squash at the weekend as well. But obviously then there's the football pitches, we've got a new hockey pitch gone in, there's the volleyball pitches, there's the running track, and then obviously we've got a massive 600-acre campus, so I think it's, you know, there's lots of opportunity for people to whatever sport they're kind of into, there's something there. And you know, having spoken to some of the sports team, you know, I know that you've got opportunities, you know, to play competitively and then just recreationally as well. You know, there's sort of at both kind of levels.
So it's, you can just join to go in for a little bit of fun, but also if you did want to, you know, actually compete and it's stuff. I know it's very much a, what's the word, like mixed level of ability in terms of you don't have to be an expert to join a global society when it comes
There's
to
no
sport
judgment.
specifically.
Yeah, exactly.
So
And we do have a talented athlete program
Yes.
as well. So, that's something, there's information on the website about, people can find out about. I think we've got someone here who's a semi-professional boxer. So, maybe have a look at the talented athlete program and see how, our sports team might be able to support you in that. We're just kind of launching some new courses in in sports at the moment as well. So, sports psychology, but also sport and exercise science. And sports business management, things like that. So there's quite a lot of that going on. It's quite a sort of thriving community, I guess, in terms of the sports facilities and then with the courses as well.
Yeah, I'm quite competitive at box as well. That's something that Keele is very proud of. So a lot of sports societies participate in box as well. Yeah, nationally.
And obviously varsity.
Yes,
And we go head to head with our kind of local competitors at the university.
Big event.
No, it's a really good, really nice atmosphere. You never feel like you're being kind of, judged for your ability level or anything, because you can join at any level and do it to whatever degree you want to, really.
We've got a few questions around timetable and kind of what's your timetable like? I mean, obviously, it massively depends, I guess, on the subject that you're studying. But perhaps do you want to give us maybe a flavour of what your timetables are like at the moment?
Yeah, of course. So I'm in my last year now, and so our dissertation module is a double-weighted module, and we don't tend to get kind of weekly sessions. It's kind of up to you to organise those with your supervisor. So I'm on campus a lot less than I was in my first and second year. Obviously, I still have 3 modules as well as my double weighted. So I'm on campus a lot less. So I'm only in 3 days a week. But obviously, that additional time is spent on my dissertation. We have a really nice balance, I think, in psychology and neuroscience between lectures and seminars. So lectures that are more formal, structured teaching sessions, and then seminars where you can discuss papers, discuss any research that you have done on that particular topic. I think it's a really nice balance of being able to fully interact with your lecturers and kind of your other students.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of timetable, I think it's about 12 hours of in-person content that I have in first and second year. I think that's I don't know if it's, again, across all courses, I don't know. But yeah, going back to that sort of like balance of work, it's a great balance of independent and collaborative work as well. Like we also have lab classes as well, which is just more of a sort of practical, putting your knowledge into actual skill, which is really, really great. And the lecturers here, for me, from my personal experience, they really do portray themselves being so passionate about what they are doing, because obviously we are a research-led university, so it's clear that they want to talk about this, and it's just the engagement is then just elevated. Obviously you're choosing to be here, so you want to be here, but it just really makes you think, I really want to be here. The student engagement with the staff is great, and it's a great balance of independent and collaborative work. And,
I think that's a really good thing to note, the independent collaborative, really nice balance. So you get to learn all those independent study skills, but you're supported.
Exactly, I was going to say, the independence, it might sound a bit daunting, but no, there's plenty of support. And there's for, again, I don't know if it's across all courses, but we have academic mentors. So it's a particular member of staff who is allocated to about 20 students-ish, and they're sort of dedicated for you to go to them for academic as well as personal stuff as well. But obviously there is also the student services, which are great in terms of more pastoral care and stuff. So there's plenty of support, both financially, academically, personally, emotionally. So you're not alone.
Definitely.
So we've had a couple of questions to sort of on a theme around freshers and welcome week, I guess. So I'm asking, what are the events like, and are there also events that kind of don't involve, so maybe like the partying side of it so much? I mean, I know what the timetable is like, for that kind of thing, but what would you say in terms of welcome week? How did you find that, and what kind of sort of variety of events are on offer?
Yeah, of course. So there is obviously every night of freshers, there's a night out. But you're asking about other events that aren't as, kind of going out, drinking sort of thing. As I said, Res Life do quite a lot of welcome things so that you get to know people in your block. But on top of that, so during the day and in night, there are sober events. So there definitely is a balance. You won't feel at a loss if you don't drink. That's something I really want to emphasise. There's plenty of plenty of events for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, in Welcome Week, they would definitely make sure that you're aware of all of that support that is available to you. So in Chancellors, it will just be covered with a bunch of stalls with everyone that you should be aware of, or might need to be aware of throughout your time here at Keele. And yeah, there's plenty of obviously Keele is quite high on their sort of environmental stuff, so there's a lot of kind of sustainability things going on as well. Like, I think is there like a few sustainability like walks and things that happen. So it's just, again, nice to just go around the campus and just have a little wander and a walk. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of sober events that happen.
Yeah, loads of for any interest that you have as well.
Yeah, there's when it comes to the Welcome Week, I know the obviously sports. They do a lot of taster sessions, so you can just dip your foot into different sports. Even again, if you are not particularly like good at a sport but you find it fun, go to a bunch of the different ones. You might be able to do, I don't know, badminton one day and then do boxing the next, and so it's very much kind of introducing you to this is what you can do here,
with no kind of commitment as well.
No,
so
exactly,
if you go and you don't like it, you've not paid any money, you've given it a go, try something else,
Yeah, I mean, on the timetable for sort of Welcome Week last year, there were all sorts of things, there were film nights and, like music events, like you say, things that were based more around like the halls and with Res Life teams, and then like, the biggest sort of like, I think we just saw on screen, some of the bigger kind of like party things and fun fair here and there and that sort of thing going on. So something for, I guess, everybody, to get involved with that week. And I guess the idea is, like you said, try things, but also these are all opportunities to get out there and meet people, aren't they?
Absolutely.
And, just outside of people that you might have met, in the first couple of weeks on your courses, but outside of who you're going to be living with in your flats and things as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got some questions around. Oh, can we join multiple societies? How many societies can I join? That kind of thing. I mean. Yes.
Yes.
As many as you want. Yeah.
Absolutely. You can join as many societies as you want. Some you have to pay fees to join. Some you do not. Some are free societies.
Just the fees are about like £2.
Yeah, they're really
for the entire year. They're not that much really.
This is something that I really wanted to say though, is get involved as many as you can.
Yes.
Obviously without overwhelming yourself. But giving everything a go, because you will find something that you really enjoy and you'll find people that you really click with. Might even find a new hobby. So there's Cura, which is kind of like a board game, card game, D&D, if that's something that you're interested in, kind of society. That's something that I gave a go, really enjoyed it, and now that's something that I do regularly. So yeah, there's basically just give everything you can a go. Again, there isn't necessarily that commitment in Welcome Week, so you can go and try loads of different societies, see if it's your thing, and then, or you can also kind of contact societies and see if they're willing for you to come along to a social without having paid the fee. Because everybody just wants, people to just have a nice time.
Yeah, typically in the first few weeks, I know quite a few societies just do, anyone can come along, like it's open to both members and non-members, but then after that it's obviously, if you've paid your membership, then great. And like the fee, and obviously for Psychology Society, the fee is beneficial because it can get you discounts on events that are hosted throughout the year. But again, the fee is just like £2. And again, there's no commitment. You don't have to go every week. Don't overwhelm yourself with the amount of, like, sign up to as many as you can, and as many as you want. But like, I guess sort of keep in mind that there is like a lot of the time they might clash in terms of the same day, the same time. So you might want to like mix it up, like one Tuesday evening you might go to Psychology, the next you might go to, I don't know,
Wildlife Society.
Wildlife, so it's definitely just mix it about.
Mix it up. Yeah, no, definitely.
There's no commitment at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Do
whatever floats your boat.
Exactly.
We've got some footage running up at the moment, I think, and we've got people from kind of like dance, musical theatre. I might have seen a bit of D&D in there. I'm not sure what that board game was going on. There's more board games happening here, so yeah, there's certainly a lot to do. There's a really, really specific question here, Esther, that might be a good one for you. It's about the neuroscience and psychology combo.
Okay, there we go.
About it being a combined honours degree, or is it a single combined one? Obviously, the course that you took was combined honours.
Of course.
And how you kind of found that combination, or whether a single neuroscience degree. And so how did you find your combination?
Yeah, of course. So I know it's changed obviously for new intake now, but I personally found that it was a really nice balance. If you really enjoy the kind of brain side of psychology, so to put it, I think it complements the psychology really well doing neuroscience. So you do trying to think of modules that aren't final year modules. So things like neuropharmacology is really interesting to kind of learn about, because you learn about how it treats kind of psychiatric disorders, things like schizophrenia, borderline personality disorder, things like that. And kind of, it really relates the relation between a lot of what you learn in neuroscience and psychology, that they complement each other really well. You don't feel like you're doing extra work, sort of thing. That's not something to fear at all. It all complements each other really well.
Yeah. And that is for neuroscience and psychology that obviously you've done. You just mentioned about kind of like the course slightly changing.
Yes, of course.
And that is for students who will be joining us in 2025. You'll be able to do then a single honours which will be neuroscience with psychology or psychology with neuroscience, kind of depending on which of those is like the thing that you wanted to kind of specialise in. So there'll be slightly separate routes, but they are combining those two subjects, like you say, in a way that's quite complementary, isn't it?
Of course, yeah.
This is a lovely question. What is the best and most special thing about Keele?
Oh, blimey.
What's your favourite thing about Keele?
I really love the community feeling that Keele has. I mean, it's talked about a lot, the Keele community, but I feel like kind of being able to walk around campus and recognise a lot of faces of people that you've seen, maybe on a night out, maybe at a society event, maybe just in your lectures. It's really nice to know that you're kind of, I don't want to say a family feel, but it kind of is. It feels like, like you just kind of, you're living around and living with people. And you all know each other, even if it's just by face. I think it's a really nice kind of feeling to just be in that kind of community. Yeah, it's really
I mean, I personally like the squirrels. They're my best mates.
Oh, yeah, no, they're great.
No, but it is. I mean, I guess not a cliche, but it is. But that is that just community feel. You never feel like you're alone. There's always something that's going on. So much support, and you just sort of, even if you haven't quite literally met, you might actually just recognise someone who you've just seen popping about, whether it's just that you've seen them have lunch at Chancellor's, or you've seen them around the SU, or I saw them people in Balkan Week, and you just sort of don't feel lost, I guess. I have definitely felt found at Keele. It's just the community, really.
Absolutely.
I just feel so at home when I'm not at home.
Yeah. Obviously, I've never been to any other university, but I feel like it's was something that's quite unique to kind of the campus thing of Keele. So you wouldn't get that kind of thing in a city university. I wouldn't say.
Yeah, no. I visited Keele and then I went to Nottingham. We went through the massive gates. I was like, no, I want to go to Keele. I want to go back to Keele. This is too overwhelming. But it is just like, I stepped foot onto Keele and I was just like, no, I can see myself here.
Yeah.
So, and I think just being surrounded by nature as well really just adds to that feeling connected to, I mean, again, this sounds very cliche and stuff, but being connected to almost the earth and stuff like that, then just kind of makes you feel so much happier.
Yeah.
And then just that community, just oh wait, there's people around me, there's nature around me.
Yeah.
You almost just are surrounded by so much positivity that you just feel happy and just comfortable.
Absolutely, yeah. The nature side is also really
I'd say, if you're wanting that sort of campus feel, it ticks every box and more compared to more city. Obviously, if city's your thing, then fine. But I'd say, me personally, campus is the best.
Yeah.
Best option. Just saying.
Keele ticks that community box for sure. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. I mean, I have a question. It's not quite related to sort of the campus and perhaps, the more sort of emotional side of, being on campus. What's the library like? That is the question.
Good question.
Well, is the library open late and throughout the week? It's open 24/7, I believe.
24/7,
yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. So every week that isn't kind of holidays, it's open 24/7, and it's still open in holidays. It's just kind of a more 9 to 5 schedule. But during term time, all
and
of the
that's
time.
where you'll find the career support as well.
Yeah.
it's so many facilities, books galore.
Yeah.
And also like you can rent laptops and stuff as well, and there's plenty of IT support as well. And it's really great, really easy to navigate, and obviously just chat to anyone and they'll just help you out. Again, very community feel. People are very jolly.
Loads of spaces that you can book out as well, so it's not just one big kind of lump of a library. There's an IT suite. You can book out collaborative study areas. You can book out collaborative study rooms, individual study rooms. There's quiet places, there's more noisy places in the library. Massive variety of different places to go and study depending on what you study like, really.
Brilliant. I've got a couple of questions here all related to a similar theme around class sizes. Obviously, very, very different, doesn't it? It depends on your course. But what are your class sizes like in terms of, perhaps your lectures, and then when you have, your tutorials?
So again, it's that balance of big lectures with like everyone in your cohort, but then there's also the seminars where it's more like 20, 30 people, more discussion based. So it will vary across different courses, but I think from my impression and my understanding is that it is just a really good balance of, yes, there's the whole main content that you're getting delivered in the lectures, but there's also opportunities to have sort of smaller discussions with, again, it's like 20 people. So it's really, again, targeting in on that community feel, both on the academic side. So it's not too overwhelming and you definitely can have the opportunity to just ask a question. That's one thing I would say, just ask questions. The staff are lovely.
More than happy to.
They're not as daunting as they may seem. But there's definitely a lovely balance of just.
What about the labs in psychology?
So that's something to note, isn't it? So the lab sizes are slightly smaller, so you are split into different lab classes. So that kind of the lab tutor can specifically address the concerns of the people in that lab class. So you are split up. Same thing with seminars in first and second year, and third year of course. You're split up into different seminar groups, so that you have that more communication. Because obviously it's hard to do it in a big lecture theatre setting.
Definitely.
But definitely.
And obviously, with you both kind of being on a psychology programme, you've got your combined ones. What about like the specialist kind of lab equipment, or the specialist kind of facilities that you've got in psychology? We've got some great footage of you. With the
loved my EEG. It was great.
Hat on.
So many facilities, eye tracking, AR, like VR, EEG. And just a lot, just so many facilities. I can't. There's probably so many more that I can't even think of right now. But again, being such a research-heavy university, there is just so many research facilities and plenty of things to get stuck into in terms of like experiments and stuff, and that sort of practical side of you can put your knowledge into practice.
Absolutely,
and that sort of more smaller class sizes and stuff really like bring that opportunity into it.
I mean, you've got obviously the Dorothy Hodgkin building is kind of your dedicated home for the School of Psychology. Do you do much in central science labs? Do you spend any time across there?
That's where we do the actual labs.
Right,
so
okay.
It's we're at the very top. There's quite a few stairs, but it's great fun. But that's where we do our sort of more practical lab classes in terms of, say, statistics is more catered for that. And again, it's split into about two groups of the cohort. So it is still fairly large in terms of, because psychology is quite popular. But it definitely allows for you to ask more questions and it feel a bit less daunting. But
And up on the fourth floor.
Up on the fourth floor.
Proper workout.
Really proper.
I do love that building, but you get to the top of those stairs and you are kind of ready.
It's the third one that really gets me. When my breath just goes, I had to do it today. I was like, but no, it's worth it in the end.
It's a good, do like this,
and we've got obviously, there are quite a few different schools and subjects that use so CSLs are central science laboratories, and we've got a mixture of different sort of labs in there, wet labs, dry labs, multi-use labs,
so like
computer labs on the top floor, so chemistry and physics and forensics,
environmental sciences as well,
neurosciences,
lots of stuff happens in that building. All right, we've got loads more questions that have come in. Is the workload harder or more if you're doing a dual degree? So if you're doing combined honours, what would you say, Esther?
I would say no, because you do end up doing the same number of modules. It's not like you end up doing more hours of work. you are doing the same number of modules, same number of hours is expected from you. Yeah, I would say no. It's not any more work than you would. Obviously, if you're studying 2 degrees that are maybe slightly more separate, that is obviously you're kind of splitting your time between those, trying to English and history or something like that. Maybe slightly different, but you're not doing any more work. Yeah, you might just be splitting your attention a bit more, but it's no more work than doing a single honours degree. And I think it's something to definitely look at when you're applying to university, because it's definitely enriched my study. I feel like I know a lot more about the subject broadly, having done both. And obviously I had an interest in both and I got to do both. So I think that's a really important thing to note as well, is that you can pursue both things that you're interested in.
And I think a lot of the combinations that we have are, they do sort of complement one another
well.
quite a lot, don't
Yeah,
they?
yeah,
Like, you've got your psychology and neuroscience, but there are areas where it's 2 subjects in some respects, but there's some overlap.
Oh, absolutely.
Anyway, you kind of benefiting on that front.
Yeah, definitely.
Another question about combined honours here. If you study combined honours like computer science and neuroscience, is there enough knowledge in both fields to kind of work, or would you need a master's degree? I mean, I guess it depends on what field of work you want to go into, as to what you might need to do that. But I suppose, Esther, in terms of your combined honours, how do you feel that's kind of prepped you for the world of work? What do you want to go and do after you graduate?
Yeah, so absolutely. I would, just before I answer that, you want to make sure that you look at the accreditations that you need to go into the job that you want to go into. So make sure that you're specialising in what the accreditation is in. There, basically, just to start off there. So yeah, I really want to go into either clinical psychology or social work. Seems a bit strange having studied neuroscience, but that's what I've kind of inevitably wanted to go into. Clinical psychology or clinical neuropsychology is my kind of interest. But yeah, so the accreditation that I need for that is a BPS accreditation, which is from psychology. So I have majored in psychology for that reason, so that I get that accreditation rather than getting a Royal Biological Society accreditation from neuroscience. But obviously, depending on what you want to go into, look at the accreditation that is needed for that master's or for that job itself. Yeah, I would definitely say that.
And you can also find that information on our website. I like to plug our website.
Yeah,
on the course pages, it will tell you for any given course or any given combination of courses, whether that course is accredited and who by. So, like you say, if it's like Royal Psychological Society or whoever, it will tell you on the course page if it's accredited and who by. So we've got a few questions around kind of what happens next, sort of what next stages in terms of if you're holding an offer. Obviously, we're not going to be able to kind of get into specifics if you're at this particular stage and things, but in terms of hearing more information about starting, that's something I can perhaps touch on. In terms of if you're perhaps holding an offer at the moment for an undergraduate programme and you're looking to join us in September. Obviously, you've had your offer sent. Now it's kind of decision-making time, and you'll have a deadline from UCAS in terms of when you need to respond to all of those the offers that you've been made. Hopefully, you pick Keele as your firm choice, and then we'll stay in touch with you through to results day. And then once you get your results and confirmation, then once your place is confirmed at Keele, assuming you meet all of the conditions of your offer. You'll then get loads of information about the next steps and enrolment and things like that. So we've got sort of a journey to sort of to that we plan and we'll take you on in terms of letting you know all of the things that you need to know. And before you come in September, there'll be emails that'll be sent to you between now and results day around. You'll have already perhaps been invited to apply for accommodation, so if you look out for those sorts of emails, giving you information about student finance. Student finance applications open next week, so for undergraduates coming to us in September, you want to be thinking about getting that student finance application in, so they can get that processed. And then lots of information just to help you kind of prepare for that transition to studying at university. We'll send you that sort of stuff as well. So I'd say typically that's probably the next kind of steps for undergraduate who's starting in September. In terms of postgraduate, if you're starting with us in September, you might be holding a conditional offer. Once you meet the conditions of that offer, then you'll be sent more information about your next steps and what to do. If it's an unconditional offer and you've already met those conditions, you've got your qualifications and you're ready to go, then again, information leading up to sort of the enrolment period then for your degree. So hopefully that helps. I mean, how did you both find, you know, that sort of period before you started at Keele, you know, in terms of getting you ready, and then you got your results, and then it's like, now it's time to put ready to go.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of surreal moment where you're like, whoa, this is actually happening. When you get the results, you're like, yeah, obviously it is that transition period of moving away from home is a difficult one, especially if you're moving countries. I mean, I didn't move very far. I moved from Wales, but you moved fully, countries away. But yeah, obviously the transition is difficult, but I think Keele makes it a lot easier.
Again, immediately I found like there was support in that, okay, you're definitely coming now. So for example, when it's results day, but there was also like, okay, here's all the information you need. There's also like you get emails and information that make you aware of the support here on campus. So and they tend to have sort of pointed you to the right direction in terms of again like finance and accommodation. But obviously that's earlier on, but it was it wasn't overwhelmingly flooded with like, here's all the information. It was definitely like a nice steady process to kind of obviously get to go to, oh my gosh, I'm going. And the sort of the, you know, initial, okay, this is actually happening now. That was definitely my reaction. Yeah. I was like, oh, I'm actually, this is happening. Okay, I'm committed to this now. Yeah. But it was definitely nice of a sort of steady, okay, here's some information. Okay, now we need maybe fill out this thing. And
it wasn't easy. Suddenly you've got to do all of this stuff.
Yeah. Right, we try not to throw it all at you in one go. So like you say, bit by bit, and kind of from now we'll be sending information out to our September 2024 offer holders with, you know, a bit more info about things like clubs and societies or about support that you might need while you're at university. Lots of that kind of stuff will be going out in the run up to results day in August. And then once that happens and everything's confirmed and you come into Keele, there's a whole series of kind of emails that get sent with that information as soon as everything you need to do. Enroll, pick your modules, you know, do all that kind of stuff. And so there's lots there to help guide you through the process. And obviously we've got this series of webinars that we're doing that'll hopefully help to, you know, answer these questions that you've got and reassure you, you know, that, you know, there are lots of people here to kind of support you in that process. We are kind of coming towards the end of the hour. I can't believe it. So nearly an hour. It's gone really quickly. So and we'll try and do perhaps just a couple more questions and then we'll sort of start wrapping things up. I'll just sort of touch on what I mentioned at the beginning in terms of we have got some more of these webinars coming up. We've got one about accommodation, we've got one about student finance, we've got a session for parents, and then we've got some sessions for postgraduate students as well. So they're all on our website. I will make sure I get this correct. So if you go on our website and look at /applicant hub, it's the events section of the applicant hub. So for anyone who's holding an offer, you can find out more about these events. We can pop that in the chat for you if you want to have a look, and you can then book onto the events as an offer holder and get the links to those as well. The other thing I should mention is that if you are an offer holder for September 2024 and you haven't had a chance to come to campus yet, you will have been invited to an applicant visit day. And we've had a couple of questions about the applicant visit days in the chat. You know, what's it about and is it worth kind of coming to? What would you say in terms of coming to an applicant visit day?
Absolutely. Do it if you can, because I mean, out of my own kind of thing, I wasn't able to come because of COVID, so there was a whole load of restrictions obviously I chose it anyway, and it was an amazing decision. But if you can, please come along to an applicant visit day. So there's loads and loads of student ambassadors, then obviously student ambassador team as a whole. So happy to answer any questions that you have. There's so much stuff going on an open day, or an applicant visit day. So there's free food and refreshments. You can get tours around the campus, tours around specific buildings. You can go and get talks from your specific so the specific subject that you want to go into. It is definitely worth it. I emphasise that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had my heart set on Keele before coming for a open day or applicant visit day, but it definitely solidified. I was like, no, I'm glad I've come to actually see it. It's definitely worth coming, and like you said, obviously getting those. Just ask away any questions. I'm also a student ambassador, and I was at a applicant visit day not too long ago, and just plenty of, obviously, for parents, I think in particular, it's quite nice to come along as well, to sort of almost feel, okay, yeah, I'm happy to let my child stay here.
Yeah.
So I'd say it's definitely worth coming, and just come and experience the campus and go to Keele Hall, have a little walk. I mean, even if you just wanted to come and walk your dog, I'd say, come on an applicant visit.
Absolutely.
But no, it's definitely worth coming because it definitely confirmed that I've made the right decision.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth it.
And sorry.
Go on, Esther.
No, obviously, if you can't make it specifically to an open day, there are campus tours that go around. That's what I was able to do during COVID. So yeah, just pop on a campus tour if you can.
I literally took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, if you can't make it to an open day, and if you can't come along to an applicant visit day, we do campus tours as well. So you could book onto one of those where a smaller group, you'd just be going with a student ambassador and having a quick look at campus. Obviously, we've got a couple of questions around when are the applicant days and other opportunities to visit campus and things like that. If you are already holding an offer, so you've made your application for an undergraduate programme to start in September 2024, you will have been sent an email to invite you to those applicant visit days. The dates will be in there, the booking links will be in there, and as kind of offers have been made, even after equal consideration deadline in January, we're still sending out those invites to applicant visit days. So keep an eye on your emails, and then you want to book for the applicant visit day from that link that you'll have in your email. If you want to come to an open day, you're perhaps thinking, I might be interested in coming to Keele, let's say next year, and you've never been to campus before. Open days start in June for 2025 entry, essentially. So we've got them in June, we've got them then in August, October, November. So there's lots of opportunities over the next sort of few months that you can come and have a look around campus if you're still deciding about whether Keele might be a right university for you. And as Esther said, the campus tours. If you can't come to campus for whatever reason, you might be watching us from the other side of the world, or Jess, you might have been watching this from Spain. We've got a virtual tour on the website. There's lots of information on the website as well. And obviously then we've got these kind of events where you can join us for these live webinars, ask us questions, hopefully, get some answers to sort of things that you're wanting to get some answers to. I've got some final sort of questions in here around Q&A sessions for mature students. We haven't specifically got one scheduled for mature students for undergraduate courses. We've got webinars that are for undergraduate students, and then we've got them that are for postgraduate courses as well. I would say, on undergraduate and postgraduate programs, we have, quite a few mature students on those programs, and, there are specific societies and events and things that happen for them, aren't there?
Yes,
in terms of Welcome Week as well. We had a question, I've just sort of seen it around Welcome Week events for commuting students, so people who perhaps live locally and then just come onto campus for lectures and things, and there's loads of specific stuff for both of those, aren't there?
Absolutely, plenty of stuff.
Yeah, and also for international students as well, I think there's a lot of kind of navigating the buses and stuff and transport. There is a transport almost tour, dedicated this is how you get the bus, as simple as it may sound, or or maybe it doesn't sound so simple, but there's plenty of making sure that you do adjust to uni and
that first
life.
Where to go and find the supermarket.
The most basic needs are just this is how to do it. Here's step by step. So.
And the same sort of things for mature and commuter students as well exist in Welcome Week.
Yes,
and beyond.
Brilliant. Okay, I think I'll look for one final question. What we've got right at the bottom here is around some information around scholarships. So if you have a look on our website, look at the scholarship section. There's loads of information there for both sort of like undergraduate and postgraduate information. And there's a couple of questions around switching courses and things like that. I would say again, have a look on our website. We've got that information and perhaps the apply section of the website, some information around the FAQs around, transferring and that kind of stuff. Have a look there. Love the question. We'll finish this on. What's the weather like in Newcastle? What would you say the weather's like here?
Typical British weather. I would say
Beautiful.
that's the way to say it. Yep.
Definitely different to Spain, I'll just say that.
And not so different to Wales. Yeah, no, typical British weather.
Yeah.
I'll put it like that. Right now,
Yeah.
I would say that it's warmer than it has been, and you said it's bloody freezing.
It's bloody freezing.
So yeah, obviously, yeah.
I would say though, on a nice day, the campus is beautiful.
Yeah.
In the spring, we've got, is it cherry blossoms that we have on Cherry Tree Walk?
Beautiful.
Just the greenery around Keele Hall, it's just lovely.
Summer on Keele Hall lawn is amazing.
Beautiful.
The best thing ever. Yeah.
It's not always miserable, I promise. I do
Like most of
actually
it.
like living here. It is nice.
I do like that if I go for a walk at lunchtime in the summer and students have
so
got picnic
lovely.
blankets out.
Oh,
And,
it's
everyone's
so
like lying in the sunshine and having a good time and playing a bit of frisbee. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I've not orchestrated it so it would look this lovely,
Yeah.
Like everyone is just out here having a lovely time.
Yeah,
I mean,
having
you
a
were
good time.
telling me earlier, it's like a sort of coming of age.
It does feel like a coming of age
It's
movie.
really cool.
People with their guitars,
Yeah.
people playing footy and like
Reading a
eating
book,
picnic.
coming-
It feels,
yeah.
definitely. Such a good vibe, such a good energy. Yeah.
Oh, well, I think that's probably a really good place to end it.
Brill.
Is there, any kind of like final thoughts from you two in terms of, we didn't really cover some of the questions we got in advance, but we've got so many questions. Thank you so much for everyone who's sent in questions and joined us this evening. Maybe just like one final one then. We've got one here that kind of ties in with one of the things we were going to touch on. Any top tips for students who are going to be joining us this September? What would be your top tip to them?
Look into the societies that there are for your interests and join them. I know I've said that before, but do it because it is an amazing way to meet the people that you're interested in. I know that anxiety can be a massive part of that, and that is something that I struggled with, but planning it in advance, finding the societies before you come here,
Yes.
having a look, do it. Join as many as you can. Because it massively enriches your time.
Definitely. I mean, there is a button where you can sort of click I'm interested, so tell me more about the society, so you can get information just about the society to prepare yourself for that. You don't have to, again, have that commitment of getting the membership immediately. But I'd say just be yourself, because again, the community, you will be accepted no matter what. Absolutely. So just don't be afraid to be yourself, ask questions, get involved, go to as many events as you can. Again, don't overwhelm yourself, but just get stuck in, just have fun.
Exactly, because it is fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thank you so much, Esther and Jas, for joining us tonight. And again, thanks for everyone who's watching and joining us online. Have a look on our website for the next events we've got coming up. We've got accommodation, finance, one session for parents, and like I said, for postgraduate courses as well. But yeah, it's been great chatting to you both.
Thank you.
And yeah, hopefully we've answered some of your questions. If we haven't got to your question, I'm sorry about that. Maybe if it's particularly the accommodation questions, we'll try and come to those when we do that specific session. Yeah, thanks so much, and thanks everybody. We'll see you again.
Thank you so much. Bye.